Welcome everyone to Real Estate with Gwen Price, and we're doing our monthly market update. And I'm with Lana Watier, broker of record for Keystone, and Trina Tallon, a mortgage agent with Neighbourhood Dominion Lending. Good morning.
Morning, ladies.
Nice sunny day today, but we're going to get hit with a whack of snow at the end of the week, I hear.
Yeah, it's the calm before the storm. Winter's not quite over yet.
Yeah, and it's still March. It always teaches us lessons. I always get lulled into believing it's over, and then bam. But anyway, what do we got to do? Hey, we just got to keep going. So
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I can hardly wait. Anyway, but I'll just quickly go over some of the stats just to show what's been happening in the city of Greater Sudbury. So listings are down about 14% from last year. Sales are down about 27% from last year. The average sale price is down about 11% from last year. But if I look month to month, we're up 6% from the previous month. And I was just telling Lana, when I look at the, I don't know if you can see it here, probably not. There's,
look at that.
See at the very, very end of that graph, there's a little tick up. So we peaked last March sort of thing in 2022. And then of course, prices have been coming down, but it shows a little bit of movement up. And when I think about things, when we're in the trenches, so to speak, there's still multiple offers going on. And of course, it seems to be like in the price range, still the most popular price range is 350 to 400, and either side of that too, and especially anything under that. When I list in the 300s, you know, around that 400 mark, there's buyers, there's investors as well as in that price range. So there's lots of activity. And when I look on the hot sheets every day, you see things are either very close to asking or sometimes over, and that shows, you know, there's multiple offers. So it's not all doom and gloom for sellers, and there's still opportunities for buyers.
Well, yeah, you're right. And not every sale is in a competition now. You know, there are some that things are getting back to the point where people have their conditions, they have their home inspection and financing and things like that. So yeah, it's getting a little bit more. I wouldn't say it's completely balanced yet, but we're kind of heading in that direction, which is, I think, good for everybody.
Yeah, even when there is competing offers, there's conditions.
Yeah.
That is a big change from the craziness that we went through there, where everything was unconditional. And
yeah, I was okay with that.
Well, it was certainly good for the sellers, but brutal for the buyers, for sure.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a mix of things. Almost every offer I get is over asking price. And most have at least a home inspection condition in it or a financing condition, one or the other. I've only had a couple that have had no conditions at all, but they've gone quite a bit over asking with no conditions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, really, I remember seeing these types of patterns like in 2019 and previous, right? It came down to the house, the neighborhood, the price that it was listed at, all of that jazz kind of thing. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming months, because with that bank failing in the United States, everywhere you go on the news and everything you read about, all that kind of stuff suggests that the bond rate's already starting to come down, and then we're going to start to see fixed rates come down too.
So what are we talking around a 5-year fix nowadays?
Right now, a purchase for less than 20% down is about 4.89 to 4.99. With 20% down, we're looking at about 5.19. And that's with 25-year amortizations. And I'm going to compare that back to 2019, November 2019, where less than 20% down was about 4.5%. 4.3, 4.4 kind of thing. So considering inflation having been around the 2% mark back then, and we're at what, I haven't looked recently, but about the 6% mark-ish, we're not that far off with rates. But
Yeah.
the general feeling is that the fixed rates are going to come down this year. With that bank feeling in the United States, the economists are feeling more strongly, and the banks are feeling more strongly that the Bank of Canada will at least hold the prime rate for the rest of the year and not do any more increases. And some people even say there's the potential of a decrease in the prime rate going into the third quarter.
How
But
likely is that though, that they're actually gonna, like, they struggle to get it to where it is now? You know, I don't know.
we're in a
How
very
likely?
we're in a very bizarre situation in our economy, right? And in
Yeah.
the worldwide economy. And things are not, the economy and inflation is not behaving the way that it should be. So who knows what is really going to happen?
Yeah. Well, and even, you know, it's always a best guess, the economists and all that. It's not an exact science, right? So
Exactly.
it's always a best guess. But
And people need to keep in mind that buying property, especially primary residence, is your biggest tax-free investment.
yes.
So even though rates are up a bit from 2019, again, we're going to ignore what happened during the lockdown years and the pandemic, because that was just, we don't even know what happened there.
Yeah.
But this is still like, we're still looking at a good deal, really, on these rates, I find.
Well, I think so too. I mean, I remember back in the day when, you know, people were getting 8 and 9%, and that was a good deal.
Right, exactly.
So, you know what I mean? Like, that was a while back, but, you know, I remember someone saying to me, holy crap, my mortgage is 8%. What a deal. I'm like thinking, okay, sure.
Yeah,
But,
well,
you know, it's
yeah,
all relative to the economy at the time, right?
yeah.
Exactly. And I still feel, I don't know how the two of you feel, but I still feel Sudbury's underpriced.
Well, yeah, all homeowners would probably say that, the buyers probably would, but that is one reason why investors look here, right? Because our average sale price is under 500,000, and they're coming from markets where the average sale price is 1 million or up, depending. And so it looks like a good place to park their money.
Well, and value is all relative to where you live, right?
Right.
Because like Gwen said, if you're coming from down south and the average sale price there is 2 million or whatever whatever it is, it does look like a better deal here. And yes, Sudbury is a lot more affordable than a lot of the other options, let's say. But it's all relative. Value is relative to where you are, because, you know, that's why these things, sometimes even as a realtor, you look at some of the listings and you think, wow, that's a lot of money for what they're trying to sell, when, you know, someone comes from another area and they think, oh man, this is a great deal. I could never buy this in this town or whatever. So, you know, it's, at the end of the day, your house is worth what someone's willing to pay for it, and the bank's willing to lend on it. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're right. I mean, when you think about it now, too, so many people are working from their homes, so they no longer have to stay in the city where, you know, their company might be. They can be anywhere in the world as long as you got good internet access. So why not be in a place that might be a little bit more affordable?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
and it's a struggle for a lot of people still to be able to afford to buy a home. And we still have a shortage of inventory in some price ranges. So it can be a challenge for buyers still, but there's still opportunities too.
Yes, there are opportunities for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. That's a reason to, you know, have a realtor help you with that process, to get out and look at houses. And I never get sick of looking at houses, but it's still where, you know, years ago we would go out and show excuse me, 5 at a time or something, or you'd have your clients in your car and you'd be touring around going to look at a bunch of houses. And that hasn't been that way for a while. You go,
No.
there's a new listing, let's go look at it, I'll meet you there, right? Because it's,
Yeah.
it's still that way. There's still not a lot of inventory, but Sudbury's doing pretty well, I think. I'm happy living here.
I think we came through the whole pandemic rush and all that kind of stuff fairly well. Our values have held. I think they're still going to be holding for a while. The value here is great. I mean, Sudbury's a great town, and you know, there's a lot to offer here. So, and I think that's why you see a lot of investors coming here and a lot of people moving here, is because the amenities that we have to offer are pretty good.
Absolutely.
I'm embracing winter now.
Yeah.
I
After
saw
all
that. That's
these years,
amazing.
Gwen, living in Sudbury, you're finally embracing winter.
Oh, it's a while, but anyway, I'm trying to, because you know what? It's a good part of our year, right? That we need
Yeah.
to think about colder weather, and I just hated it, but I had a little bit of a aha this year, and I'm trying to make that keep going, because yeah, Sudbury's a pretty good place. We've got the lakes, we've got the outdoor activities, and yeah, maybe that's not for everybody, but a lot of people, once they come live here, they don't want to go back to where they came from, you know. So I think it's a pretty good place to live. So
It is.
anything coming up, Trina, that's not
Not really. Like the government introduced that new TFSA for first-time home buyers, and it's has a little bit less rules than the RSP does, where it doesn't, have to be in for 90 days and things like that. So
Okay.
It's a tax-free savings account. It's another option for first-time home buyers to save and not have to pay tax on the interest that they're incurring from that account. So it's nice.
yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
That's another reason to talk to a mortgage specialist to find out, how to structure things, how to work towards a down payment. If you haven't got it right now, maybe you'll be ready in a year, and this is how you can get to that point. And this because the mortgage world is a lot more complicated, at least from my perspective, and I don't have those answers. So that's why we need somebody like you, Trina, to help us navigate it.
Well, and
Absolutely.
down payment again, and I stress this on almost every one of our calls, the banks are so particular about down payment. And a lot of people think just because they have the money in their bank account that that's okay. But, in the last few weeks, I've had money coming from China. Well, that needs to go through a particular division of anti-money laundering within a bank for them to take a look at it. We've had money coming from common law spouses that are not on title. Well, they don't like that either. They want it to be an immediate family member that the money's coming from. So just because you have the cash doesn't mean that they're going to approve the cash that you have for your down payment. So that's always something to be very upfront with the person that you're talking to about getting a mortgage is exactly where did the money come from?
Yeah. It can't just arrive, because and I mean, the world's changed from years ago. We never thought about these things, but money laundering, terrorism, that's a fact of life in a lot of parts of the world. And money laundering certainly is here in our country. It happens. And real estate is one of those industries that they like, right? You can buy a big asset with a lot of money. So
That's for sure.
And so justifiably, scrutinizing where did that big pile of money come from is protecting all of us. It's not, anybody's trying to be mean, but where did that money come from? So, but that's great information. And well, already the middle of March, I can't believe it. I don't know what happened. It's like quarter of the year's almost done. All that means is I have to start working on my HST again.
Yeah.
Again.
I just did it. So anyway, here it is. I'm very optimistic about Sudbury. There's lots going on here, and I think it's a good community, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. So,
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Thank you again, ladies, and we'll talk to you again in another month and see what's happened.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
Have a great rest of March.
Take care. Bye-bye.